Hi guys, today I'm going to do a review of the classic The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This came out in 1886 and this is a horror novella, very famous in the horror genre. You know I love horror, but just in literature in general, incredibly famous. So I'm going to give you the plot of the book, very kind of in-depth. I'm going to go into the plot. It's going to be spoilery, but I feel like everyone already knows the basic basis of it and the spoiler within it, so you have been warned now. And then at the end I'm going to give you my actual review of what I felt of it. So let's get straight on to the plot. I have notes here, so sorry if I look down a little bit. First up, we meet three men. There is Mr. Utterson, who is a lawyer, and his two friends, which are Dr. Layton and Dr. Jekyll, a little snake. So the three of them are very well respected and they're a really close group of friends. So, the story is told from Mr. Utterson's point of view. Him and Layton are walking about and then Layton stops outside a door and starts telling him a story about someone called Hyde, Mr. Hyde, who stomps on an innocent child. He's some hideous beast. And Utterson is thinking, you know, how grotesque the story is, but he's also thinking, I've heard that name, Mr. Hyde, before. I've never seen him, never heard anything about him, but I've heard of his name. So when he goes back home, he looks at Dr. Jekyll's will, which he has because he's a lawyer, and he sees that Dr. Jekyll has left everything when he dies to this Mr. Hyde character, who Utterson has only heard of Hyde being this thug who stumped on this child, and obviously children we see is very innocent. Everyone who gets like hurt by Hyde is very innocent, to kind of show us how much of a beast he is. So Utterson just assumes, jumps to conclusions and thinks that Jekyll is being blackmailed by Hyde because Jekyll has done something bad in his past. So Utterson is all like, Jekyll, we need to sort this out, I'm a lawyer, you know, maybe I can help you, tell me what you did wrong, maybe we can negotiate. And obviously Jekyll's just like, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever, let's never speak of this again. So then in the story, this Mr. Hyde is still being a terrible beast, but no one's met Hyde yet. And then you find out that Hyde has murdered an MP and that it's in the papers that he's wanted, and Hyde has just vanished into thin air. No one knows where the hell he goes. So Utterson is obviously troubled by this and thinking, well, Hyde's got something on Jekyll and he's killed someone, he's a murderer, like what is he going to do to my poor friend Jekyll? Then Layton just dies. Dr. Layton's gone. So poor Utterson's thinking, whoa, like one of my closest friends has gone. Oh, what's Jekyll doing? And then Jekyll becomes a recluse and says to him basically, don't talk to me anymore. I've become a recluse, I cannot tell you why. Do not talk to me, I do not want to hang out with you anymore. And Utterson tries to reach out to him and go to his house and talk to him, and he just refuses to see him. So I felt so sorry for Utterson, because it's from his point of view, this kind of like devastation of, there's this Hyde character who that I'm a bit scared of, I don't know what's going on there. And then my two close friends, one of them's dead and one of them's being like a little bitch and won't talk to me. Poor little Utterson. So Utterson is clearly distressed and upset about the whole thing, and you get this sense of like loneliness and just confusion. And out of nowhere, Dr. Jekyll's butler Paul contacts him and says, I don't know where Jekyll is, I think he might have gone missing. And Jekyll at this point has, you know, he's gone away from society and no one's spoken to him. But Paul's kind of saying, even within his own home, I don't know what's happening. He went into his laboratory and he hasn't come out. I need you to come and help me. So even though Utterson has been shunned by Jekyll, he feels greatly about him and he's like, okay, Paul, I'll come and help you find out what's happened to him. And one thing that I've got to say that I loved is how sly Paul was. Like Paul's me, just like, oh, and by the way, because when they're about to go in, they have to like break into the laboratory, and before they do that, Paul's like, oh, by the way, I did see someone go into the laboratory the other day, so that person might still be in there. It's not Jekyll, it's someone who looked like quite a violent character. So then Utterson's just like, oh, so he might be walking in on a thief. So there's someone in there, a stranger, who looks quite fearful. Like, oh, if I was Utterson, I would have been like, please, Paul, phone the police. Like, this isn't a job for me. But Utterson's nice, so they break into the laboratory, find a dead, bloody body. It's Hyde's dead body, but they don't realise that at the time. They just know Jekyll isn't in there, and there's a dead body, and things are looking suspicious. And Paul also says that Jekyll was really annoyed that he couldn't find an ingredient that he wanted for one of his experiments, and that he was really distressed about it and kept going on about this ingredient. So The next chapter is told from Leighton's point of view, so it's the first time we have a change of narrator, and by this point in the story, Dr. Leighton is dead. So it's him just saying what happened, and basically what happened is Jekyll contacted him and said, I need you to get something from my lab and take it back to your house. So he does that, and what it is, it's a potion. And then Hyde turns up at Leighton's and takes the potion, and before Leighton's eyes turns from Hyde to Jekyll. And Jekyll tries to tell him, you know, everything that's happened with Hyde and explain it to Leighton, but Leighton is so distressed and horrified by it, he just dies of the distress of the whole situation. So that's why he dies suddenly, because he finds out the secret and it's just too much for him. Then the next chapter, it changed narrative again, and it's told from Jekyll, and I was waiting the whole book for like Jekyll's point of view. I was like, yes, come on now, because you have no feeling as to why he did it before that point. So Jekyll tells you why he did the experiment, what it was all about, that he created this potion to separate the good and the bad within him, and he was kind of bored of his life, basically. He gets a bit bored and he thinks, I can't do evil things or bad things, even though I think them within my mind, because I'm the well-respected doctor. I don't want to lose my kind of face. I don't want to lose my reputation. And so he creates this Hyde character, which is him himself, but it's a change of appearance, so people don't know it's him. And when he's Hyde, he can do these terrible acts, which a lot of them are just like sins of the night, sins, stuff like that. It's not really explained a lot, but brutal acts. So he can do that without the consequence and without people, you know, ruining his reputation, him ruining his own reputation really through doing that. So it's the less, it doesn't have to deal with the consequences of it, basically. That's what he's talking about. And what goes wrong is one of the ingredients that is in the potion, he tries to get it, but it's never the same kind of quality, and so he can't do it like he did before, which was just pick and choose when he wanted to be this Hyde character. He basically turns into Hyde even when he doesn't take the potion, and he realises that Hyde within him is overpowering Jekyll, so the bad is overpowering the good, and he commits suicide basically. But it goes into more detail. I don't want to, like, you know, ramble on too much at you, but basically decides to commit suicide because Hyde is taking him over, and he'd rather die than be Hyde, this terrible, disgusting character. Now onto my review. What I had to say about it, I freaking loved it. The detail though, that's like, woohoo! The detail into the places and the streets, you felt like you were there. It was just such a well-written book. I love the plot, I love the premise, I love the way it's done, I love all of that. I think that was genius. But also just like the simple writing of walking through the streets of London, stuff like that was geniusly done. The little subtle hints that were put in there, because obviously I know the story, I'm sure a lot of you knew the story for this video, or even if you haven't read the book, knew the story. So the hints that were in there were just fantastic, and it's not blatantly obvious certain things, you have to work it out yourself and think about it. I thought it was really good. So I put down as like themes is, and these are quite simplistic themes because I feel like you could go into a lot more detail, but we all struggle with being good and bad and those sides, and no person is just good and no person is just bad. We have to balance our lives out and, you know, try and be good, but we're not perfect. I also put down, if someone looks respectable, it doesn't mean they aren't capable of evil, so no one suspects that Dr. Jekyll is a bad person or has ever done anything bad. Even though he has these bad thoughts and this desire to be bad, no one would think that because he's respectable. So there's that kind of side of it. People also say, is it about homosexuality? There's so many different themes I feel like you could draw out of it. For me, I just took that not everyone's perfect and that you have to strive to be good, and it's a difficult thing to do. Being good all the time doesn't come naturally and you have to kind of strive for it. So that was my feelings, my thoughts and feelings on this book. Tell me down below if you have read it and what you thought of it. I also really like this cover. You might not be able to see, but it's actually two faces. So when you look from a distance, it just looks like a portrait of one face. But when you look really up close, it's two faces that have been put over the top. And I really think that's fantastic because he is two people, but the same person at the same time. So now the end is near, and that's it. That's that's the end of the video. I think I've spoken enough. I feel like I've spoken for a million years. But to summarise this, loved it. Thought it was absolutely fantastic. Everyone should read it, so go read it. And I'll see you again soon for another video.